like share it.
Sure. Sure.
And we are live with episode 165 of the Start, Build, Grow Show. What is up, everybody? I hope you guys had a fantastic Labor Day weekend. Welcome back to another episode. Randy Brothers, my friend, what is going on? How we doing?
Relaxed and ready to go, man. Shut the phone off. Went somewhere where I had no service,
Mm-hmm.
no social media, no nothing. It was great, man. Ready to go.
You refreshed then? You ready to rock? Is this gonna be a good
Refreshed
episode?
and refreshed and ready to go, man. We got my man, which is the man behind the man, with, we had Hunter on a couple weeks ago, but with the real
Yeah.
brains behind the operation, we finally were able to track him down. I'm sure you're watching Hunter. You're welcome for that. Connor Rodich, the man, the myth, the legend, man, working with RoofCon, ex-roofer. Like, man, you've been on this journey over the last few years. I'm really excited to have you on the show finally. We'll be talking about RoofCon, but more importantly, man, getting to know you a little bit, and as well as kind of sharing your story, man. Looking forward to it. Welcome aboard. Welcome on the
Yeah.
show.
Appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, it was good to obviously you and I think last time we actually saw each other in person was towards the holidays last year, if I remember right. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind since going through this process of coming from the contracting space, moving over onto this side, and I'm excited to talk about it today. So it'll be fun.
So, how
Yeah,
did you
very
guys
cool.
get connected, Randy and Connor?
I think so. We met each other first at Contractor Fellowship out in Breckenridge, I think is where we were
Yeah.
at. Is that right? And so, I've known Randy for a few years while I've been in the space. I think we actually shook hands at RoofCon last year, but of course, being and on that side of things, which again we'll get into, was just a totally different conversation than when we were in Breckenridge together. But we got to have more intimate conversation, which was cool, and got to know each other a lot better while we were out there. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. We did just kind of a random, you know, for anybody, getting away and connecting outside of work, outside of the day to day is so powerful, right?
Yeah.
And you guys, I mean, with RoofCon and what you guys are doing with Revolt and all the different getaways and things, this was kind of like a small version of that, and we just did like a little impromptu, message on the Contractor Fellowship saying,
Yeah.
hey, who wants to go hang out in breakfast for a few days and just connect with one another off the grid a little bit. And it was cool, man. We
Yeah.
got to meet you, had some awesome connections, a lot of other coaches and a few contractors, but it's that was cool. It's cool to be able to do that sort of thing and just connect with people outside of the work environment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, for contractors out there, they hear about the conferences, they hear about the masterminds, and maybe they decide not to really engage with other contractors and attend these networking events and stuff like that. Why is it so valuable to get out there and go connect with other contractors at conferences like RoofCon?
Yeah. So the story I always lead off with that when people are like, "Hey, how valuable is going to a conference or being a part of something like RoofCon?" And we'll talk a little bit more too about how I'm sure we'll get into the details of RoofCon and kind of what makes us different. But my story is a perfect example. I went there as a contractor last year. Looking to just continue to network as I had been to, SVG and been to IRE and some of these other conferences. But, I go there without any understanding of what RoofCon is, just saw, the click funnel online and thought it would, it was kind of interesting and intriguing. Obviously, I didn't know Hunter, but I'd kind of seen Hunter from a distance and been a part of the roofing and now solar community group. But my story is a prime example of someone that went to the conference on the contractor side, being there to network, and then found myself in the position that I was in less than 30 days later. And that's just purely because of the people that you meet. And, if I had not met Hunter, I would probably, and I didn't go to the conference, I would still be in the space more than likely, unless the stars aligned in another way. So that's just kind of a prime example. And I don't know how much in depth you want me to go into my story right now, but just to kind of give people the, that first thing that comes to my mind is what my story has been over the last 12 months, and even less than 12 months, because RoofCon was mid-October last year. I mean, it's been a complete different direction than I thought that I would be at this point. Not necessarily from I knew I was going to be a successful entrepreneur, and I knew I was going to be, leading a large and fast growing organizations over the course of the next several years as I try to grow my personal brand and the business brands that I was involved with. But just it's a complete different dynamic and direction in terms of this business than I thought I would be in at that point in time, or at this point in time, but here we are. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you actually owned your own roofing company then? So what's your backstory about you guys?
Yeah. So my backstory is, kind of bringing in the corporate background. I very opposite from the way that Hunter's backstory and life story is. Mine was pretty boring. I just, did the 4-year college degree, got out of school, got a sales job, and started pounding phones all day, all night. And when I found myself in, kind of that upward trend of climbing through the corporate ladder in that space, I knew I wanted to be my own business owner and an entrepreneur. And so, which had always been breeding inside of me. I mean, I guess from a likeness of his story and any sort of similarity is that I've been an entrepreneur since I was a young kid, selling golf balls, trying to flip stuff for profit, stuff like that. So I always had that knack in me. But yeah, I got into, the later stages, working some pretty large accounts and then managing a sales team at a pretty young age, and found that, hey, I'm having a lot of success. And I know, in a non-egotistical way, I knew that I was pretty good at what I was doing. And I wanted to be able to control my destiny and from the business owner perspective. So I started dabbling in some small things. I had a restaurant, was a part owner in a golf course, did some small stuff before I ended up getting into roofing. And then I met a guy in 2018 that was interested in, going into business with me. And I just kept kind of pushing it off, like whatever. And I have had some friends in the industry, which is what's funny, like some pretty big players, guys that, Randy probably knows, Chase Johnson out of the Denver, Colorado market with Johnson Roofs by Johnson, I think is his company. And, we had connected through a mutual friend and all this sort of stuff. And I just kind of had asked a lot of questions about the industry because it was always super intriguing to me. Didn't think I'd ever get into it. And then I had an opportunity where that business partner at the time had a fallout with his partnership in 2018, which kind of presented an opportunity in early 2019. And then we got after it. Did a couple $1 million in the first year. And then I broke away from that partnership, started my own thing in June of 2020, which is wild to think. And then I was, I think, 2.5, 3 months in when I had met Hunter. And it was just kind of like, all right, well, I've got this business that's, pretty much at this point, a startup, right? We're just getting off the ground with this. And so I ended up going to the conference and to continue my networking. Here we are. I ended up becoming the president of RoofCon and roofing.com and partnering up with Hunter and all the different wild things that have happened. And I pretty much just slid that into Cornerstone Construction's portfolio and worked into the company, and then came aboard. So the main thing as far as my story is concerned, though, is corporate background into the roofing space is what I brought, and that structure and organization and scalability and all the things that I'm always thinking about, because that's my background, was working with a company that went from 85 million to 325 million with Lorraine Powell Jobs. Steve Jobs' wife is the chairman of the board. And so I had this unique background that was really what kind of, I always looked at the roofing industry as like, it's just a bunch of guys that know how to sling roofs and know product and application, but don't really know how to run a business. And no offense to people like Randy and others that have been extremely successful, but I just had seen it from afar as like, I don't want any part of that, because it's, it's kind of a weird industry for me to kind of start putting my, putting myself out there. And so I ended up getting into a position where I went into business with that partner, and that's what caused a lot of the friction. He wanted to just play this big visionary, like, hey, we sold 200 grand this month. Great. We can coast now. And I was always trying to push the envelope, figure out how we could do things better while he's not really interested in growing a massive company and trying to scale out big. So that's kind of where I was, broke away. Here we are. That's the short of it. But it is a interesting dynamic to see some of the things that I feel like have been common sense through my journey that I bring into the consulting space. As I'm sure Randy has a lot of experience seeing himself firsthand, is a lot of things that you implement and you've done, whether that's through hard knocks or through experience in other industries that you bring here. And it's like some people are just completely blown away with the stuff that you bring when you're talking about that organizational structure and reverse engineering and just all the things that are part of that corporate fabric it's just interesting to me how that's played into the success we've had with things like Revolt, because we've had people that have came and not had that structure, and then here we are. So
you mentioned that with the roofing company, you and your partner kind of had different visions, right, of what you guys wanted with the company, everything like that. So it just didn't really work out. We have Eric Richardson on here. He says the world's greatest integrator. He said that's you. All right. So now clearly you and Hunter have found the same vision, right? And how big has that been for you guys to be on the same page and for that successful partnership on that vision to achieve all the stuff you guys are achieving in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first, and Randy probably even had seen a little bit of this when we were in Breckenridge, was kind of like it's weird because, you have truly two alphas, and I'm not saying like alpha, like I'm just out, destroy, like I'm just got to be this, big burly guy. I'm very much used to being the number one. That's my deal. Right. And leading from the front. Hunter's very much the same way. Being that visionary integrator dynamic, it's tough because I think you got to get put into a box to a degree. Like, he very much enjoys the visionary piece of it because he's very, very good at that, but he can also do some of the integration side. And so that's where you kind of, if you're executing the way that we execute in terms of our operating system and what we do, you really have to respect each other's boundaries, and it takes some time for that relationship and those boundaries to become set as far as like what lane you need to be in. And so I would say for the first several months, it took some getting used to taking that number 2 seat, because that's, I know you guys said from the top of the show is like the man behind the scenes, and I don't have, I think the one thing that I'll always hang my hat on is I don't have an ego around personal image. For me, I want people to know that I'm of high integrity, that I'm going to give it all I got. I'm kind of the Russell Westbrook of the roofing business. I might not do it perfect every time, but I'm going to give you 110% every time I step on that court or the field. And so for me, I take a lot of pride in just being the person behind the scenes and making it all come together and orchestrate it all together. And Hunter is the face. I think I got to do a better job of being a more social presence and building personal brand. And that's some of the stuff that I'll tackle over the next few months and continue to take off with that. But I'm not an ego guy. And I think that's the one thing I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to like, hey, if he needs a spotlight because that helps RoofCon or that helps promote the brand, that's totally fine. I'll take care of the stuff behind the scenes. I think the biggest challenge, if you're wanting the honest truth about any of this stuff, is that, Hunter is and Brandy knows from knowing Hunter very well, is such a fast moving visionary. And when you move fast, it's like a 10x on what the workload is for the integrator and for the people that are making things happen. Right. Yeah. And so for us, it's been that balance of like, hey man, I know you want to move fast, and we still do move fast. I think, just from an example, I mean, we've rebranded twice in 1 year, right? I mean, we rebranded a roofing community, and then we acquired roofing.com, and now we're roofing.com. I mean, it doesn't, you don't have to look far to find that we move fast. So that element of this relationship, I think, is what's more critical than anything. If I had to offer any sort of advice for people that are trying to implement the same type of system and get a couple alphas in a room that can make something special and make it happen, is that you have to have that level of transparency that says, hey, just because we're moving fast, like that's great, but I, as the integrator, as someone that's making all of it happen behind the scenes, I have to make sure that I have the ability to be able to do what we say we're going to do from the vision standpoint. And so sometimes that takes slowing down to speed up, right? And that's I know that's an analogy, but it's the truth. If you will move fast, but then when you get to that next level that you're trying to break, and then you just reel it back in a little bit, that's kind of like the place that we're in right now. We're running some pretty key acquisitions that'll be announced, I'm sure, at RoofCon. And that's all great, but a lot of it has been, all right, now we did those acquisitions. Now we need to kind of slow down and start building out the framework and making sure that we're stable on the back end and all the integration side. So that's kind of where our business is it's this constant, draw, push and pull back based on how things are running on the day to day.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff, man. And so there's a couple of takeaways I want to take on that, and actually hit Randy with a follow-up question on a couple of things that you mentioned that was pretty golden right there. But before I do that, make sure you guys, if you guys are interested in attending RoofCon, what are the dates of RoofCon and where is it located?
September 30th to October 2nd in Orlando, Florida, Orange County Convention Center. Beautiful venue. We have hotel blocks set up. You can go to roofcon.com, check that out. The hotel blocks are with the Rosen Center and the Hyatt, I believe, and those are buildings that are connected to the convention center. So once you get there, it's pretty easy to access the expo hall and the Chapin Theater and all the things that we've got going on there. But yeah, it's September 30th through October 2nd in Orlando, Florida.
And then just roofcon.com/2021. Is that right?
Yep. And if you go on the website, there's a couple things I guess I'll mention here. Is one, we have a unique opportunity this year with a basketball tournament that we're facilitating for roofers in recovery. And I don't know if Hunter spoke about that at all in the last podcast with you guys, but kind of a unique opportunity to give back and to donate to that organization, because we're facilitating a basketball tournament and still doing kind of a fun, it'll be a 16-team bracket going all the way to a championship game that'll really be hyped up the final day. But that's also something you can register for there. And then we have, all the sponsorship information, ticket information, hotel block information, speakers on the website. So,
and including Ed Millett and John Maxwell, pretty loaded lineup. There's a bunch of great speakers. And if you guys are interested, like he said, the basketball tournament, that's going to a great cause with Roofers in Recovery, and also I think Randy's signing up and he thinks he's going to win. So please, somebody stop him. All right. So it's a couple of things I thought was cool that Connor talked about was actually kind of goes hand in hand, right? And I'm gonna hit you with both of these, Randy, and I want to see what you can work with this. All right, give me kind of a good answer here. So you see, you're well rested, so I expect big things. So egoless partners, right? I think that's one thing that Connor mentioned that I want you to focus on, and the importance of that, and how you can be an egoless partner. And then continuing to that was, he mentioned how Hunter is this visionary that's high speed, right? And Randy, I can see the same thing with you. So you're always pushing growth. So do you have any advice for not killing the integrators and kind of locking in the vision a little bit?
Yeah, and I love Connor and I have, or I guess Hunter and I have some great conversations here because we're cut from the same cloth. I've just been doing it a little bit longer, right? So whereas I'm that high speed visionary, like I want to move at 1,000,000 miles an hour and just and you have a tendency to forget about the wake of whatever you leave behind you, right? All the rest of the people that are like trying to be left to pick up the pieces of you just trudging forward and like a bull in a china shop, right? The key there, it touched on a couple things. The key there, and as you mentioned, is, and one of the things you'll notice if you study some of the most successful people in the world, there's oftentimes a persona of ego. But I think if you really look, you kind of unveil that a little bit. There's a difference between someone who's driven by ego and self-fulfillment and people that understand the personal brand and the image that you have to have in order to drive the success of your vision, right? So there's some stuff there that, as someone that's been labeled as both, right? I've got to be aware of that, right? It's, you can come off pretty easily like, oh, this is full of ego, until you really get to know that person. And it's like, I kind of have to, I was very intentional on building a personal brand and doing all those things. But the reality of it is that's because I feel an obligation to give back to the industry and to the community that has blessed me and my family. It's for so many years, so you got to do it the right way, because there are so many of the other kind that can kind of shadow some of those who are really trying to do things for the right reasons. And I think, Hunter and Connor, they both fit right in that. They're really, really passionate about doing things for the right reason. And you have to have a personal brand. You have to have an image. You have to be out there and be the face of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, because at the end of the day, people are watching. You got to get people's attention, and you got to try to deliver it and on the right expectations and provide a good value. But the key there, you look at any majorly successful individual that's a big visionary type of person, and you see them on an interview or a podcast or hear them, whatever, they're almost always going to give credit to the people behind them. Because the reality of it is, those of us who are, the small percentage of people that are super hyper drive, hyper vision, like speaking for myself, I'm very troubled, and not say troubled, but limited in a lot of other things. I had a conversation today with my business partner, and you guys know, Cody is my, major integrator implementer, and you guys have met Bree, my other. I have two of them that help me like clean up my wake, right? And we just talked about this project we just launched today, and I was like, thank you, because there's no way I could have done that. Like, yeah, I facilitated and connected all the dots, but for me to actually get in the weeds and implement and make that happen, it would have been sitting on my desk at the bottom for months, right? And now we're going to see some fruits from that. So the reality of it is, you need both. You need both, and in order to be super successful, you have to truly understand the value of each, and it's equal. And you also got to know your role and know and have defined roles and stay within those lines. But for those, there's a lot of visionaries watching this or listening to this. Listen to your implementer. Listen to your integrator. I've changed the wording up on that. I don't just like
That's
stop.
okay.
I'm not an EOS guy. I kind of do my own thing, but I look at it. I actually look at it from like the visionary is a navigator, and the integrator is the implementer, right?
Yeah.
So you got to surround yourself by people and listen to what they have to say, because you can go a million miles an hour, but what happens? You'll inflate this way and then topple over, right? If you put too much on at one point in time. And you want to surround yourself by great people, but listen to them. We joke around about it, but I may have 10, 20 ideas, and my two key implementers they'll call me out and be like, hey, that one's not good. We're not going to do that. And I'm like, let's do it. No, we're not going to do it. No. So every once in a while, I got to step back, like you said, take a step back and listen and get their feedback, and then regroup, and then go forward again, because sometimes you got to slow down to go fast. That was a great takeaway there, Connor.
So, with RoofCon, I'm on the website now. There's just so many good speakers, all these different breakout sessions and stuff like that. Now, one thing that the site really emphasizes on is building your brand, multiplying your revenue, right? Those are obviously big things to achieve with your company by going there. What do you guys think are some ways that roofing companies will be able to achieve that by going to the conference?
Yeah, I think for one is, first off, who you're meeting there. I think the networking is extremely powerful. You meet folks like Randy Brothers, and you're going to be able to collapse time in a big way, because you can take away from what Randy has learned in multiple decades of being in this business, and then being able to implement that down into your next year or 2 years, right? So I think that's like the first biggest takeaway. I think the second thing, and I'm not going to go into, I'm normally, when we do like Facebook Lives and stuff like that, I'm used to like getting out the like quick pitch, like this is what RoofCon is and what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
Since we're on
I told you it's gonna be a little different today.
Yeah.
I told you it's gonna be a little different today.
Yeah, since we're just chatting it up and having a good time. I think the main thing outside of networking is really the emphasis of personal growth. I mean, this year we're going to implement something that's really putting our money where our mouth is, and having a personal growth panel. So we're going to talk about addiction and marriage, cool. Work-life balance, and how, some of the biggest guys in the industry have done it. I think the biggest thing around, this, again, the conference, I know that there's, other conferences have had other headliners or guest speakers that are not a part of the industry. but just putting such a large emphasis for our event with it. I mean, we've got 4 guys that have nothing to do with roofing or solar, and really trying to push that personal growth conversation a lot
Exactly.
more
They're
this
all in
year.
that bucket of personal
Yeah,
growth. Every
yeah,
single one of the headline speakers.
yeah. So that's a big piece this year. We talked about it last year, and I'm not saying that last year it didn't present itself. It definitely did. A lot of high quality, high integrity, good people, and I think anybody you talk to, and I know Randy went there as an attendee and also someone that sponsored with the Roofing Academy, that the attendee was different, and I want that to continue being the trend for years to come with RoofCon, is that folks are there to learn, they're there to grow, they're there to network, and I know that there's this idea too that it's because obviously there's storm conferences, there's conferences that are very focused on the expo. We try to bring a balance to both, where we keep our sponsors and vendors happy, but also we can talk about, not just talk about storm, we can talk about roofing in general, making a big statement this year with our commercial rapid fire round, which is going to be a well-versed group of individuals that are going to talk about like really intricate and detailed stuff around commercial, as well as people that have been in the residential space for a long time and are looking to make their way into commercial, and how one guy went from basically being an 80-20 business residential to an 80-20 business being commercial. Nice. And so stuff like that, I think, is going to be big. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think the value as an attendee and the value as a vendor is the personal growth, the high level networking, and the ability to get education. I mean, that's the big thing too, is like our conference is no pitch for a reason, and it will continue to be no pitch. There are people that tried to push their way on stage last year with some stuff, and they'll go unnamed, but they're not invited this year. And that's because they either acted like a lunatic, or they were trying to, at the end of the day, sell their stuff. And we're not going to we'll never go there, because there's other conferences that do that. And we're trying to set ourselves apart in that we're going to provide as much possible education in those 3 days, and try to collapse time for people through the stuff that we provide, as well as the networking from people like Randy and others.
Absolutely, man. And you have it on the website here: shift your mindset, improve your business, and change your life. I absolutely love that. Right. So, I mean, Randy, how important is the personal development side of things as an entrepreneur, as a leader, right, leading an organization?
I mean, I've come to the point where it's everything. I mean, if we're not waking up every day trying to learn and grow and be a better human being and a better leader today than we were yesterday, then what's the point?
Yep.
Hands down. Like, I kind of label myself as like a lifelong learner. I'm trying to master my craft as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a visionary, within my job as a CEO, and you'll never get there. So you got to enjoy that journey. It's all about that. And if you're not finding ways to learn and grow and learn from other people who know what you want to know, who have done what you want to do and have accomplished what you want to accomplish, you're just spinning your wheels and you're going to get passed up. That's just the reality. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. And that's as a person, that's as an individual. And I think like there's a direct correlation to the growth and the quote unquote, labeled success that I've had is, I mean, I don't even look at it that way. I'm not even there, right? I'm just in the journey, but there is a correlation to
100%.
Personal development and growth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sorry, go ahead, Randy. Sorry.
The person I was 10, 15 years ago, night and day different than the person I am today. You guys will be like, who the heck is that guy? Right? Talk about ego and just acting like an idiot. I was that guy. I've had to learn. I've had to grow. I've had to develop, and I'm grateful for that, and grateful to God for supporting me through that. And doing things for the right reasons. But yeah, that's key. If you're not focusing on growing yourself, your mind, your body, and your spirit every day, you're kind of missing the point.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the only thing I was going to add to that is, I think what you see from a distance with us, from making that a big point of emphasis, and I know RoofCon only happens once a year, but there's probably a good bit of people that see our content that we pump out online with Revolt and some of the stuff we do in that. We can talk about that if you'd like to, but the personal growth, I think, just as you said, I mean, we all grow, and we all have had those days where we were either young and dumb or made bad decisions and, cost us whatever. For us, speaking from Hunter and myself, as we kind of are, leading that, especially within Revolt, with RoofCon and conferences in general, I think that's one of the things that we say, like, that's how we're different, is that we're going to lead and be the people that are going to open that conversation of how, like you said, personal growth and personal development is what equals your business and your enterprise value and the stuff that we talk about, because those things go hand in hand. And for us, it's an investment that we make into ourselves as well. I mean, we're a part of different masterminds that are big on growing in your personal space and being someone that can master that craft or attempt to master that craft, because you're absolutely right. It ties directly into what you're doing in business. And so while we sit there and we promote this with RoofCon, it's not just a smoke and mirror show. It's not just, talking about it and trying to live a different life. I mean, obviously no one's perfect, but we certainly make the personal investment to bring that, for us to bring that to the table in this space, and then to continue to kind of live what we speak, you know what I mean? And to bring that, to kind of bring that full circle. We do a lot of investment on that side too.
Absolutely, man. You guys are doing some awesome things in the industry. We appreciate what you guys are doing. I do want to give a quick shout out to some of our sponsors for today's episode. Towards the end of this, it works out well. Actually, they're all sponsors for RoofCon as well. So for this one, we have Job Nimbus, Hail Trace, and SumoQuote, right? All tools that integrate together. Very beautiful, right? You can make your CRM foundation and is going to be Job Nimbus. You can connect SumoQuote to really expedite your process and get real results with your proposals. Hail Trace, as soon as that storm hits, if you have that bad boy integrated in Job Nimbus, man, as soon as your clients were hit, you can reach out to each one of those clients, right? Trying to earn their business once again. So best way, honestly, is go to the conference, meet with them, talk to them, all really good people that truly wanted to grow your company. Connor, I really appreciate you coming on today, man. It's been awesome chatting with you. We always end it with a golden nugget though, right? So Randy, we're going to make you go first here. Right, with the golden nugget. Basically what the golden nugget, Connor, is we end every episode and allow the guests to leave one thing with the viewers out there. It could be something to implement, it could be something to avoid, it could be something about personal growth or development, it could be a quote. I could care less. So something we want to leave the listeners with. But Randy, for the 165th time, please let it rip. Let's go. What we got for the golden nugget?
My goodness, it's getting harder and harder. I hope I will not repeating myself too much here, but
you're just dropping knowledge, bro, man. You heard here. I mean, he said that, he said decades you've been in the space. Dude, you are like the guy now, hey?
Come on, man.
Yeah, you're the guy,
well,
man.
I'm gonna go with, something that who knows? I may have said this a while back, but with as an entrepreneur, I think true success in entrepreneurship comes when you surround yourself with people that are better than you. Okay, that ties into humility. It also ties into understanding your own strengths. Know your strengths and stay in your lane if you're a visionary, be a visionary. If you're an integrator, be a visionary, or be an integrator. But know your strengths and surround yourself with people that are better than you at all those other things, and do everything you can to master your craft within your small area, and to just be the best you can be in that area, and let others take the helm of everything else. And that's the true formula for success.
Surround yourself with good people. Good, Connor, what we got, my friend?
That's good. Well, first off, I want to say thank you for having me, Randy and Nick, Start, Build, Grow Show,
yes,
all the sponsors. Appreciate you guys having me on. And yeah, so I think, can I have 2 gold nuggets, and not really that the second one's a gold nugget?
Go. Okay. I mean, it is, okay. 2 gold nuggets. You're really bringing the heat.
Well, we got
today.
a promo code too, right?
Yeah, we got a promo code.
So now I have 3 promo code. Now I have 3 gold nuggets. You just brought up my third.
Let's go.
Maybe 5. Can you hit 5? Can you hit 5 gold nuggets?
Yeah, good. You know how much I like to talk here. Obviously, you guys can find that out. So, okay. So now the gold nugget I will say that I have is if you're not running a scalable, systemized operating system with your company, try to replicate what others such as Randy or other very successful businesses are doing. And I'm not going to say promoting like EOS or some of the things that we know that are out there. Doesn't have to be EOS, doesn't have to be, a mainstream operating system, but get your teams in different pieces and departments of your company talking to one another through the same language of an operating system that you've built out that can create predictability and sustainability to your business. That it's the hard work now that you put in that will make the latter days a lot easier through the process. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy, but the time that you put in right now through doing the hard work, through either setting up your business because you are brand new, or if your business is already doing 30, 40 million, but it's absolute chaos, doing that now will take care of a lot of the headaches that you experience in your day-to-day. And so, and obviously I could talk for hours about that, as that's what I do and that's what I specialize with. And but I will say that that's kind of my gold nugget. If you aren't doing that, highly encourage that you do that. And Randy, I appreciate what you said about surrounding yourself with the right people. I think that's an awesome gold nugget. So congrats to you for getting 165 deep and still having good things to share, because I'd probably run out at this point.
I think I'm just saying the same thing in a different way now at this point. It's all good.
That's good. That's all good. The second thing, well, I guess we'll make the second thing the promo code. So your guys' promo code is TRA.
Mm-hmm.
So I can, I guess, share on that. So the promo code, if you guys use TRA at the checkout and when you get your RoofCon tickets, that'll give you a 10% discount, I believe. And you can use that for as many tickets as possible. I will say, if you are doing that group ticket package of a pretty, I would say 10 or more, feel free to call into us or send us an email. We'll still work with the TRA promo code, so we know where you came from, but we'll get you squared away with even a deeper discount if you're looking for group tickets. Okay. Last thing that I always say on all my times on Facebook Live and now here with the episode on Start Build Grow Show, RoofCon is a unique experience. And I think for me, it's something that completely changed the trajectory and direction of my life. Not because, again, wasn't going to already be successful. And there's plenty of people out there that'll be successful, whether they come to the conference or not. But if you are an individual that can not legitimately buy a general admission ticket or get there to be able to see these speakers, our expo floor is free as long as you pre-register. So that should be bare minimum what you do in terms of getting to a conference, being able to network with some of the best, being able to go to all the booths of the sponsors that we have sponsoring the show. But if you are an individual that is eager to learn, that's either getting their start or they're working in labor or whatever, and they can't legitimately get a ticket, I always tell people to send me a direct message, because we never want to turn away education, and not sound corny or whatever, but I think that's another one of the big things for us. It's really not about the money. We obviously have to be profitable as a business, as any business does, but we don't want to ever turn away. We think education in this industry, and especially when you're getting it from the right people, such as people on this podcast and others, that if you legitimately can't get there, can't pay yourself, or can't pay for a ticket, but you either live in the area or willing to get there somehow, that we want to make that available to you. So send me a direct message if that's you, and hope that you understand the message I'm conveying is not to give any handouts, but we feel like if it's something that you definitely want to pursue and attend but can't make it, then we want to make that available to you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Really appreciate that for sure. That's cool that you guys are doing that. But also at the same time, remember, how can attending something like this multiply revenue? Think about it. You want to surround yourself with like-minded individuals, people who are motivated. You want motivated friends, right? If you want to multiply revenue, you need to be with other motivated individuals, right? So these are the kind of people that are going to be there because they're investing their time, their money, everything like that to go out there and have the same goals that you do. So it's kind of a no-brainer. So remember, TRA is the promo code for 10% off. You can go to roofcon.com/2021, and we will see you guys in Orlando, Florida. Connor, man, we really appreciate you joining us for episode 165.
Sharpen up your game, brother.
Oh, that's right. Hey, make
Hey,
sure. Oh God.
if I get in the basketball tournament and Hunter gets in the basketball tournament, no one's going to come to RoofCon next year. I
Yeah.
promise.
And hey, if you guys want to see how bad Randy is at trash talking, make sure you guys join the
Hey, I'm good at trash talking.
Oh,
That's
just
what I'm
not,
good
not,
at.
not
Right?
backing up
Come
the
on.
game.
You and
Okay.
Hunter,
come
you
on.
and Hunter would definitely there would be some animosity on that basketball court, and someone would not be at RoofCon next year. Either Hunter wouldn't be or you wouldn't be if that happens. So let's
Well,
I'm
that
trying
means
to keep
Randy
Hunter
can't
out
go
of the basketball tournament.
because Hunter's holding the conference. So this might be the last time
Yeah,
we
I
see
think
Randy
I'm just
Brothers
going to
there.
try to be a coach. I'm just going to
Yeah.
just going to build a team and just coach.
Yeah, good call. Good call. All right, guys. We'll see you
Okay.
guys in Orlando.
See ya. Thanks.
Peace.